Hey everyone, Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday. Of course, we got our Pocket Change Market Report on tap for you for January 15th, 2022. We're halfway through the month, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the most notable, interesting errors and varieties to have sold on eBay within the last 24 to 36 hours. So as you guys know, a lot of these finds were discovered through going through like coin change stuff, I know that's not really the technical term, but there are folks that like to search through large volumes of pocket change, essentially. And coin roll hunting is another big one too. The mere kind of act of going to the bank, picking up some of these bank rolls and searching through them has been a pastime that hasn't grown old, even though the coins in them have. Those are a couple really cool ways of obtaining some of these coins. In addition, if you're an avid cherry picker of like coin shops, shows, trying to identify coins that weren't ever attributed by its dealer and just sold for, just a good old common date of something, maybe they've missed a, double die or a specific type of error that maybe, really doesn't interest them too much. I've heard dealers that they don't really mess around with the minor stuff. But that's okay. That's where we as hunters, really thrive. And, that's another good way to add a really cool piece to your collection or, supplementing your, cash flow by selling these on eBay. All the listings that you're going to see today are all raw coins. We don't talk about graded coins. The big reason is that grading errors and varieties is expensive. Error attribution through PCGS costs nearly $100. That's including the base fee for the coin, in addition to the fee for error attribution. So when you're sitting there considering, well, I got this coin that traditionally sells for $20 to $30. Should I go ahead and grade it? Probably not. It's not going to make too much difference in this case. But we have a pretty wild lineup. We got 35 coins for you this evening. And I want to, again, thank you guys for joining what has become a fan favorite in the community. If you could, conceive it, you could achieve it. So, the amount of work that you put into looking for these coins will pay off in the end. All right, well, in any event, thanks again. Let's go ahead and jump right into the first coin. And you're going to find out a lot of the coins are simply just raw images right from those eBay listings. So the coins might appear a little dark. They might be a little out of focus, pixelized, things like that. Just to let you know, they're all original images from these seller listings. Starting with a 1982 Kennedy half dollar. Again, what I want to tell folks when they go to image these coins for eBay sales, take them out of the 2x2 flip. It's not worth really jeopardizing your listing when you keep the coin in the flip, where you could have a myriad of different issues like glare. As you can see, there's a little bit of glare in certain areas where the plastic of that 2x2 bunches up. But if this thing was taken as far as picture-wise outside of its holder, you would get a lot better results. But this one right here is actually a little small curved clip right by the date. One of the more common errors to encounter, and some folks would think, it's not really worth a whole lot, but, why do people coin roll hunt half dollars? And that's to find silver. So if you did find a 90% silver, which, by the way, these days it's getting a lot tougher, what else do you look for? Well, you look for coins like this. This particular example, believe it or not, sold for $35. So that's a whole bunch of silver you could buy just for recognizing really something as minor as this and then really capitalizing on its value in a secondary market. Numismatically important coins still command quite a bit of money in this hot market. And here's a good old, pretty well circulated 1956D Lincoln wheat cent. This one right here has a pretty sizable cud die break that's right here at the base of Lincoln's bust. Cuds aren't really found on Denver minted coins that often, but here you go. This kind of bucks the trend a little bit. making everybody kind of realize that you could find just about anything you can on any mint of coin, including Denver's. This one right here, again, Cuds are king. Someone had asked me, well, if Cuds are king, what's the queen? I don't know. We're going to find out. Maybe it's a pretty wild strike through. Who knows? This one right here sold in a traditional auction for $29.50 with 3 bids. Outstanding. And I don't think I've ever talked about this date of Cud before. That's a really cool find. And of course, one of my favorites is Bicentennial coins. And it could be the quarter, $50, or the Eisenhower. But if you're able to find any semblance of an error or variety on any of these coins, they are going to be desired. Now, take a look at this Bicentennial. Again, we have another Denver minted example. You can see the D mint mark right above the date. But what really makes this one interesting is going to be the reverse. Right underneath Independence Hall, we have a little bit of a weak strike. Okay, and it looks like, and it appears that this is a struck through grease. Is what the terminology is. And, you do have some letters of Independence Hall that is completely obliterated by, just the dies being cooked up with grease and stuff like that. So when it strikes through the grease onto a host coin, you're going to get a lot of weakness on there. So this is another great example of a coin you need to be on the lookout for when you can't find the silver. This particular example sold for $6.97. It is considered a minor error, but $7 for this thing. After you ship it, you probably net out about $5. I mean, that does equate to silver in some aspects. And the more of these that you find, you could really stack them together and really build up a nice pool of cash that you could then use to buy more of the PMs that you really like. And here's a really nice condition, 1980p Roosevelt dime. It's off-center by about 15%. It's a very, very gorgeous looking coin. Again, off-center struck coins are traditionally collected by date and denomination. All right, so maybe, there's a collector out there that's looking for a date run of Roosevelt dimes. This is probably a very important date in that. And it's very attractive too. There's no problems. There's no digs or dents or scratches on these, which is something that you commonly encounter because they have a hard time sorting through the change machine at the banks, along with crimper damage and things like that. This one ended up selling for $25.45 with 2 bids. So there were a couple people at the time interested in this one. And here's a 2000p Lincoln Memorial cent. This is a pretty nice, very attractive off-center struck coin. I would say about 20%. It does have a little bit of magenta, reddish, pinkish toning somewhere in there. You can see it on the obverse and reverse of the coin. Again, a generally problem-free example, and these are going to be the coins that collectors of this type of error will pursue pretty heavily. This one right here is sold for $21.90, which is generally above market for 1998 to 2001 Lincoln cents because there's just so much more off-center strikes for this small little date run. So finding a lot of them generally would cost you around $8 to $10. However, this one, because of its eye appeal, commanded a little bit more money. All right, Roll Hunters, another good one to look for. This is actually a really good one and probably a little bit more scarce than meets the eye. It's a 1972D. Again, we got more Denver coins in attendance on this show. This one right here, Candy $50, is one of those notorious dates where you could find the missing FG initials on the reverse. This little area here, this blank field area between the tail feathers and this right leg right here is generally that spot where Frank Gasparo's initials would hide. But due to a little bit of overzealous polishing of the die, that can be polished off. The initials, that is. And then when it strikes the next coin, it's going to show up completely missing. There are a few dates that are recognized in the Cherry Picker's Guide. The 72D, I'm not sure. I don't think so, but this is quite a scarce one here. This one sold for $33.99. Again, if you're not looking for these, I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, if all you care about is silver and you're willing to pass up $30, $40 errors that are commonly overlooked, I just really don't know what to tell you. Now here's a 1945 Lincoln wheat cent. Believe it or not, older wheat cents, you can find quite a few of these with enough searching, but this one has a nice curved clip as evidenced on the K7 area of the coin. In addition, you also do have a little Blakesley effect right here above the TNR and trust, always a particular spot of note when you're looking through these. This one right here is sold for $11.50 with 13 bids. Does appear to have a little bit of corrosion in certain areas, and that's what these green spots are. Again, even coins that are pretty rough still command a little bit of a market. I would certainly take advantage of that while people are looking for wish list coins. And here's another favorite of mine as well. And again, not a pretty coin. Lots of nicks and scratches on this one. I mean, I would be willing to bet a lot of folks have, you know, thrown these back. But it's a 1944 D over S over mint mark variety. This, of course, is one of the big ones. You can see the top curved tail of the S coming out right here. If you need more clarification, you can always go on a website like coppercoins.com and really kind of compare the stock images that Mr. Daughtry had put up on there. Compare them to, you know, even well-circulated examples like this, just to kind of make sure they match and, you know, match also the die markers if that's relevant. But this is FS something other. I forgot the FS number. It's over mint mark number 2. Okay, so it's the second most important over mint mark of the particular date. And over mint mark number 1, as you guys know, is in the Red Book. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And so is this one. I think it might be 512. I might be wrong. I don't know. It seems close. This one ended up selling for $30. The over mint mark number 2 always sells for a little bit less than number 1. Just because it's not nearly as recognized in the community, but still a really good one to find. All right, we got some paper over here. How about this one? With some misalignment issues of the, what I call third printing, but that overprint with the district seals and serial numbers generally gets printed first on the subject sheet, but I call it third print. But you can see just a general misalignment of the black inking areas of the third print, but the serial numbers are all in the right spot here. It's a two-part process when they print that on the sheet as far as the plates are concerned. This one really nice. Best offer was accepted. Don't know what the amount was, but the original ask is $153.98. I couldn't find any information on TerraPeak or some of the other sites, but if you guys have subscriptions to like WorthPoint or something, you can find out how much something like this sold for. Based off of previous sales, I would say it's somewhere between like 120 and 140. There's not a really big, deep, discount on these type of errors. They're just not. They're scarce and very desirable. There's a reverse just showing that this note did circulate quite a bit. It's got a few folds and a little bit of a grease stain right there. Now here's a really beat up steel cent. 1943, of course, is a popular date amongst collectors, whether you're looking for a mid-state edition or one that looks like this. With some errors, I mean, across the board, they are very, very, very desirable. This one has a pretty nice sizable cud die break right here at the base of Lincoln's bust, which is a general common spot for cuds on this steel cent date. This one right here sold for $31.75 with 6 bids. Not too bad considering its rough-looking condition. Well, we have a 2,000-piece Sacagawea gold dollar, and that can only mean one thing. All right, no, it's not an experimental rinse, and no, it's not a Cheerios dollar. This is, of course, the one just like regular coin you could depend on for a really good time, right, guys? But this is, of course, the Wounded Eagle reverse. It's also referred to as the FS901 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Upon closer examination, and the seller did actually a stand-up job highlighting the two die scratches or gouges on the reverse there on that eagle. And that's how it got its name. I mean, it really does look like a spear going through the eagle's breast. But this is exactly what you would look for. And lately, people have been hunting for these because they are quite valuable. This particular example sold for $123.95. Now, if you knew you were going to make $100 on average per coin that you do find, keep in mind, they are quite common if you're on the East Coast. I would certainly go out of my way to look for full bank bags of dollar coins, just so you can look for this coin right here. Here's a nice little 4-coin Lincoln wheat cent lot. They're all laminations in some type of way. A lot of what you do see here is quite minor. The 1950 looks like it's been cleaned, so it's a problem coin right off the get-go. But you have a really nice kind of like mild error set. And, usually I would say look out for these larger bulk lots. You might be able to pick one up for a reasonable rate and then turn around and flip each coin individually. In this particular case, it's a decent lot, and I could see why it was sold as a lot. I probably wouldn't waste my time listing these individually. You're not going to make nearly as much money to justify, the actual sale price, which is $18.44 with 4 bids. These are generally $5 coins all day long, so you're not going to be making a whole lot here. You do have one problem coin that it won't really sell that well on the secondary market, even if you tried. Now, here's a really cool one for you guys there on the East Coast, and this one has been around since 2005. That's when it was first discovered. The West Virginia statehood quarter with the cuds on the reverse. There's a few different types, and this is actually a very common error type. You can see that cud right here on the rim that goes actually into the design, right up to this inner border of this kind of like landscape. But they all come in different sizes and shapes. You should really pull them out of change when you do find them. This example sold for $17.99. Again, it's quite common, and kind of like the average going rate for these is in that $10 to $20 range, unless it's like a super high-end mid-state coin. That's what you should expect to get for a circulated example like this one. And this one is a shocker. Actually, shocking because this is one of the most important doubled dies that you will find today. It's a 1983. It's a double die reverse. And this one right here is lights out. But the coin is not without its problems. This coin has a very unnatural color to it. And me personally, I'm all about owning coins of this kind of hype and caliber that are problem free. But you can just see just the wild doubling. It's most apparent on 1 cent on the reverse. But check out United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, along with the top of the memorial here. You can see all sorts of wild doubling. Again, another really cool coin. If you don't have one of these in your collection, I wouldn't wait too much longer. They're going up in price at a rapid rate. Before two years ago, I would say, you could pick up a coin of this condition for between $50 and $75. But boy, have things changed in just 2 years. This one right here is sold for $175. Again, you could ask a lot of folks, yeah, that's probably a lot more than you wish to spend on such a coin. But if there's not a whole lot of supply in the marketplace, like reasonable supply that are much nicer shape that you can pick up for a few $100s, I'm afraid those days might be long gone. This is just a really wild double die. And our big feature coin of the week is going to be this one. Yeah, so it is a Lincoln Memorial Cent, probably from the 70s, if I had to gather, based off of the actual strength of the strike and all that stuff. But this is indeed a pre-Zincan age of copper Lincoln. And yeah, check that out. That is a strike through. But if you know your patterning of strike throughs, you'll see that this one has a lot of cross hatching and weaves in there. This was actually struck through a cloth. So it could have been one of those aluminum oxide cloths that that Mint employees use to polish the dies. Maybe a piece of that had fallen out, or maybe the whole entire cloth probably fell in the striking chamber or something to that effect. And this is what your ultimate result looks like. You just have really nice kind of like fibering and all that stuff right there, and also the cross hatching. These are always popular, and they are quite expensive. For example, this one right here sold for $305. Now, is it worth it? It kind of is. I've seen much worse and wilder ones that's sold for nearly $1,000 raw. And if you get these things graded, man, they're like one of the most desirable errors to get out there. The larger the strike through cloth, the better. And, you better look for these because they are going to be some of the most expensive errors you will find. Now, this one right here, is not a particularly strong example, but any example of a coin that exhibits 3 curved clips is a keeper. And guess what, guys? It's another Denver. This is a 79D in this particular instance. This one right here sold for $11.99. Again, not the best looking example, but, it is something. And there are people that collect these. The more clips, the better. And, clips by error definition are some of the, again, more readily available errors to find in circulation today. Oh, cool. We got another CUD, and one in which I probably haven't seen in quite a while, if any, but this is an 84 Lincoln Memorial. You can see the CUD there, again, at a very delicate part of the die, and that's the base of Lincoln. This one right here is pretty well circulated. It is what it is, and even coins in this condition, there's going to be a buyer for it. This one I could say is quite scarce because I haven't seen too many of this particular shape of CUD in quite a while. And this one ended up selling for $93. Again, when you made up the scarcity of a coin to its collector base, there is a big reason why that these coins achieve this kind of monetary value. $93 was, by the way, an accepted buy it now price. I think the seller wanted $125 or something, or $150 for this coin, but settled on $93. If this was more of a higher grade coin, it probably would have commanded like $150 to $200. It's just that rare. Now here's a good one right here. Not many people would think that 1959 would be a very sexy, date of Lincoln cent to really search, but there are a few really cool double dies to look out for. Now, the trick is finding one on a much nicer graded coin, because this is going to be a double die that you're not going to see too often once it goes beyond like AU condition. Case in point, go ahead and take a look at the doubling on the word Liberty. You just have really, really nice defined splitting in the devices of the word Liberty. You can see it right there with all the great arrows, just really illustrating what you're looking for. Can you see this with the naked eye? No, you can't. As a matter of fact, you would need a magnifier of some type. I would say 10 times power and better is going to be your best bet. If you need them, I have some down below in my my Amazon links. I have affiliate links down below in the description box. I sell a ton of stuff, so these things are generally readily available if you need it, and it's certainly an important tool for any coin roll hunter's toolbox. But there you go. Yeah, that's the 59 DDO. It's also FS102 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Very nice, attractive coin. This one sold for $27.95. A pretty good amount of money. Quite a minor double die at first glance, but surprisingly, it does have some value. Here's another Wounded Eagle by, again, another regular, kind of a pioneer of this type of error, just looking out for these. Yeah, another Wounded Eagle. And this one right here, it's got that feature, die gouge right on the breast of the eagle right there. The Boyd is what I like to refer to it. And this one sold for $101.49 with 12 bids. Now, this is a really pretty coin. It's a 55S Lincoln Wheat Cent. First and foremost, you will notice some weakness in the strike on the reverse. Again, that's probably some grease that was on that reverse die that struck through onto the coin in this fashion. But also, this is a very strong BIE die chip coin. You can see that die chip between the B and E and Liberty. Again, another favorite, type of collector coin. There are people that collect BIEs by date, and there's so many of them in different shapes and sizes and formations that, you can't just collect one. You got to try and get them all. This one right here sold for $14.44 with 2 bids. And here's a date of Lincoln Cent that you don't normally see cuts. So, push aside the fact that it does have some corrosion on the obverse of the coin. It's right there in the motto. But that cut, yeah, I haven't talked about a 38 Lincoln cut in probably 2 years. It's been that long. And these come up again so infrequently that when one does hit the market, it's either you buy what you see or you wait a year to buy another one. This particular example sold for $29.99. Again, not too bad of a price considering its rarity, scarcity. It is a much earlier date of Lincoln, so there is something to contend with that as well. All right, so we are definitely talking about a doubled die obverse because we have a 1972 Lincoln, and it's going to be one of 9, right? So which one are we talking about? Well, this is FS108. Lots of doubling on the date. You can see that right there. Liberty is particularly just knotted up with all sorts of goodness. Again, you're going to need to get, onto a magnifier to be able to look at stuff like this. In much lower grades, you're going to want to focus primarily on Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust," is going to show some really strong doubling like you see here. And because it's in such nice shape, this one managed to sell for a fixed price of $123.45. And I just noticed it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty cool. And we do have another very common repunch mint mark, this time a 56D over D. And upon closer examination, your secondary D is west of the primary. This is, of course, one of the great Cherry Picker's Guide varieties as an FS501. Again, man, this is a coin that if you're not looking for this, again, you're doing something wrong. You got to cover all the bases. This one sold for $33.05 with 9 bids, which is a tremendous amount of money considering that this is a very common variety. And normally these would sell for between 10 and 20 bucks. In the same condition, but if you did find one in a BU roll or something that's really mid-state red fresh, you can command a lot more money. Another good coin to pick out of, dealer stock. Again, they really don't care a whole lot about stuff like this, but it's a 1911 Liberty V nickel with a pretty sizable strike through on the obverse. So there was some sort of debris or something that had fallen onto that particular die or on the coin face before it was struck. And there you go. That's your end result. Very well worn example. I don't really see too many letters on Liberty on that crown there. But again, another desirable type of error. And, they'll probably end up going into an error specialist collection of some sort. And this one sold for $23.50 with 7 bids. And here's a really nice lot. I actually like this one. I think more so for the top 2 coins, the 62 and the 89p. The 85, P right there is just a curved clip. We've seen that before. By itself, that's about a $10 to $15 coin. But, you have an 89p cut. die break. You can see it right there at the base of Jefferson's bust, although there is also a nick in there, so it's not a completely honest coin by any stretch. But the 62 is a pretty neat example of a ragged clip, so it's kind of like an end of strip planchet that has all sorts of weirdness going on there on the edge. Again, this is a really cool lot. I don't think there's really a whole lot of money to be made out of this lot, and it did sell for $89 with 14 bids. So if you did split it up, I think a lot of the profit potential has been maxed out on this one. But again, if you're a collector and you're looking for a few very nice representative pieces of these particular errors, and they're all different too, that's what I like about it as well, this would be a good lot to pick up. Okay, so this is going to be a premier example of what to look out for in your $half boxes. Again, this is an extreme example. 1993D Kennedy $half. The reverse is rotated 240 degrees clockwise, or 120 degrees counterclockwise. However you want to say it. It is quite dramatic. I didn't even know that this coin existed. I looked in my Strike It Rich with Pocket Change, and apparently there are a lot of later dated clad coins with these wild rotated die errors that are worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So how much did this one sell for? An offer was accepted for $90 on this one. And of course, there is a little bit of a ding right here. So, you know, it probably won't grade out cleanly, but it's just a really cool example of a rather dramatic error. I know looking and trying to find some of these rotated dies can be a little bit daunting because it requires handling each coin individually and flipping it over each time. But again, these are some of the most valuable coins that you could find out there. Again, take your time in looking for these. Here's a 2009 Federal Reserve note, just a $1 bill, and again that overprint is misaligned and shifted to the left. So we do have some overlappage of the first and third print, and that's what collectors like. This one looks like it's in a fresh, crispy, uncirculated condition type note, and this one ended up selling for $40.99 with 19 bids. Not too bad. And here's a 1985 $1 bill as well. As you can see on the front of the note, there's really not a whole lot to look out for. It does even have a little bit of a teller edge marking right there. And yeah, what's really cooking on this one is going to be on the back. When they decided to print the back stuff on there, the sheet was, well, crooked. So that's your end result right there. You have a portion of the next subsequent note on the sheet that is right there. Every single note on the sheet was cut all funky. And yeah, this is one that will slap you in the face the moment you find one. This one sold for $165. Well done. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. And we do have a few of these older Lincoln wheat cents. This one is actually quite nice. Now, people are going to be a little bit on the fence. You know, are these coins worth more without the error or with it? Okay, you can make the argument that it could go either way in this case. 1918 Lincoln wheat cent with a very nice strike through on the reverse there. Consider it like a big old blob of hardened grease with some debris and maybe metal shavings in the mix that caused that. The coin otherwise is in spectacular shape, if not like a mid-state brown or so. You know, it's really cool. And this one ended up selling for $46.27. And again, here's a date that I haven't really covered, 59D with a cud right on there. It's same spot, right? That's kind of like a weak spot on all these Lincolns. And yeah, Denver cuds have been showing up with much more frequency here lately, and I'm beginning to see a trend. Now I need to find some of these because they are being found with enough regularity that it's not just a one-year type thing here on the West Coast. This coin sold for $31.63 with 9 bids. So, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of profit on something this small. Here's another cud, this time on 79, although this thing is like a big old block of cheese there on the obverse. You can see it, along with the corresponding weakness on that same side on the reverse. Yeah, I mean, the coin is decent. It does have like carbon spotting on the obverse there behind Jefferson's head. But again, I mean, you're not going to throw these back. There's just no way because, finding one of these is going to be like, yeah, you're going to be treating yourself and maybe one other person to lunch. That's how much these things are worth. This one right here sold for $24. So again, another fantastic example to find in the wild. Now here's that other Lincoln cent, and it's a 1915. I don't think they're from the same seller, but this one also has a strike through on the reverse right here. Oh, ever so minor, right next to the very tip of the wheat stalk. Beautiful coin, by the way. I mean, there's some nice banging early dated Lincolns on the list. And with or without the error, I mean, I think they look fantastic. This one, surprisingly, sold for $85. I don't think it's nearly as cool as the previous 1918 strike through that we saw. But again, collectors can be a little bit irrational, or maybe the market is just that good right now. All right, we do have a few coins left, and yeah, they don't disappoint. How about this 1999p? Yeah, there's no date, but it's a 99 because it's a Georgia statehood quarter. This one's about 20% off center. Again, when you mix errors with statehood quarters, that's the recipe for a very, very above market type of coin. This one sold for $68.99. And looking at the coin, yeah, it's a little bit out of focus, but you could tell this thing totally circulated for a little bit. How about the 75 Lincoln right here? Man, look at that delamination right there behind Lincoln's, well, everything. This thing is nuts. I wish I were a fly on the wall when this was discovered in either coin roll hunting or in change. I'm willing to bet that person's jaw dropped to the ground. Another fantastic coin, albeit not a very interesting date, but nonetheless, this one sold for $34.80. Yeah, let's go, guys. And then finally, hey, what's this doing here? It's just a good old basic 1991p. This thing is a beater, well circulated. It's, in reality, it's actually a very nice example of a struck through grease on that reverse die there. Lots of weakness, a lot of details lost, and that's exactly what you're going to look for with these particular error types. Yeah, I mean, the coin can be circulated up and down like there's no tomorrow, but, as long as there's stuff like this, these are going to be desirable because they're coins that you don't often see. This one sold for $27.17. I'm willing to bet many hundreds of people have thrown this thing back without even batting an eye. And that's really crazy. Just the type of things that you could find out there and change today. Oh, well, guys, so that's going to go ahead and do it. Man, so much great stuff this week, or today, because we do 2 PCMRs in a week. But yeah, we'll use this week. This thing's nuts. Yeah, a lot of great coins, and hopefully it'll give you a little bit of inspiration to do a little hunting of your own here in the coming week. We're already beyond the halfway point of the month. You might as well take advantage of really setting yourself up for something good. Brand new 2022s are hitting the ground running with some quarters, and then the pennies will be coming out in a few weeks. So definitely be on the lookout for that. As we guys know, the U.S. Mint has been sucking wind, and let's take advantage of that. All right, even if you don't like the coins, there's tons of other people that will, and they will just throw their wallet at you or give you their PIN number for your ATM card just so they can buy the coins you have. But that's it, guys. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my video if you enjoyed today's content. And smash that dislike button if you just don't like anything about this. But that's all. You guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Let me know what your favorite coin is. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long, guys.